Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining our West webinar today. Today is our Business Growth Luncheon. And for those of you who are unfamiliar, the Business Growth Luncheon is offered every month and it is in partnership with the NSBA and EDR. Each month, we cover a variety of topics, all tailored to help you and your small business. Today, we have Kelly Duty, founder and CEO of Social School. Kelly will be presenting on digital advertising strategies. If you have any questions as we go through the presentation, please feel free to submit them in the Q&A box, not the regular chat box. However, do feel free to use the regular chat box to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your business. As always, this webinar is being recorded and will be available for on-demand viewing. You receive an email tomorrow at this time with a link to the recording. With that, I'll now pass it over to you, Kelly, to now begin the presentation.
Thanks, Lola. Hi, everyone. It's so nice to see you here live. And to those of you watching the replay, thank you so much for your interest. It's been a few months since I was able to do a webinar with WESC, or asked to do a webinar with WESC. And I am so honored. WESC is one of my absolute favorite organizations. And I must say, just the most compelling and innovative of the entrepreneurial groups across Canada, I have to say. I just really love the content and just essentially seeing all that you're up to and learning a bit more about yourselves as attendees, entrepreneurs, small business owners, females in business. It's a really fun environment. So always a pleasure to work with you. Thank you for having me. And I look forward to fielding your questions as we go, if I can, but please do, as Lola said, type them in the Q&A or the chat, and we will get to them at the end for sure when we do a Q&A. That's, if you do have something urgent though in the middle, by all means, toss it in. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to dive right in here. I'm going to do my best not to overwhelm you, but I'm basically teeing that up with a bit of a caveat because this is a big topic. We are also just 3 days away from launching Digital Advertising Month at Social School. August is all about pay to play, and we're talking about our promoted content, so paid social posts, as well as our more robust ad campaigns. And today we're going to cover a blend of the two, and then the very important starting point, which is strategic audience creation. So whether Facebook Business Manager and Instagram advertising and LinkedIn promoted posts is totally new to you, or you're well versed in it, we're going to be looking at some of the most, strategic placements, innovative advertising, audience targeting techniques, and just the opportunities that exist post-COVID. So where we're at today. And hopefully, even if it's brand new to you, you can take a few snippets here and there and then continue your learning and really just start employing some of the paid social tactics that we're going to talk about and seeing if it makes a big difference in the amount of reach and ideally revenue and return that you're generating from your content marketing efforts, because that tends to be the biggest problem, but we'll get to that. So first thing, Social School has been around for a decade now. I'm extremely honored to be at the helm of it. My team and I we're now 20,000 students deep, mostly online, but we have run conferences across the country for years now, including Social Saskatchewan and Social Regina, our two big Saskatchewan conferences that unfortunately we had to cancel in 2020. We've doubled down on our virtual courses and programs and a number of new areas that we've been able to grow into, and we do hope to one day get back to those venues that we love so much, and to real life events as we miss them deeply, including at our campus here in Calgary. The Social School Academy has been rebuilt. We have 45 online courses, several certificate programs, and many that are sponsored and assisted by the Saskatchewan government through the Saskatchewan Job Grants Program. So happy to talk to you about that if you're looking for further learning. One place that I would love to direct you to, if you don't feel like you have, marketing or digital support in your world and you're isolated as a marketer or you're just stabbing in the dark with your social media, is our free social club community. It's accessed at community.socialschool.io, and we built it to finally get off Facebook groups and help support one another as we're, between learning, post learning, or just ongoing, running our Instagram pages, running Facebook ads, whatever it is. And we feel like we're in this kind of isolated box. So this is meant to be collaboration, accountability, and ongoing learning and support for each other. And then finally, I'll just mention that Social Market is a place to find digital marketing freelance talent. This is a place that we built over COVID to finally stop playing matchmaker via inbox or email, to connect those of you that feel like, okay, now I get it. I at least speak the language of SEO and TikTok, but I still need support. I need a photographer. I need a digital ad specialist. I need someone to build my Shopify website. And we're connecting everybody as best we can on our freelance marketplace called Social Market. So we're obsessed with equipping you, not just, inspiring you or talking at you and giving you all the training we can, but to truly activate your learns and send you out into the world or into your social feeds and websites and email marketing platforms and up your game, get it done, move forward, and end the kind of paralysis or confusion. So this workshop hopefully will help those of you who are finding that you're on social media, but it's just not getting seen. You need to step up or step into the paid spaces with a bit of money behind each of your campaigns or posts, and that you want to do it better. We so often at Social School are told, yeah, I'm boosting my posts on Facebook, but it's just a waste of money. Or I've tried LinkedIn campaigns and they're so expensive and they did nothing. Or I'm running Google ad campaigns and some outsourced company is running them for me. It's costing me a fortune and it's not working. And very often we say, first things first, how's your organic content? Are you proud of what you're putting out there? Is it quality over quantity? Are you employing, content pillars and unique content types, and just being a professional about your social media with its consistency and its compelling nature of your posts? Or is it spammy and boring and promotional? And then from there, are you targeting the right people with the right content and working backwards, knowing who this post that you're going to boost for $5 for 7 days is designed for, and then boosting it to that exact group and actually seeing some return, both with your followers and reaching now non-followers alike. So there's so much we can do. There's a lot to learn, but here's what we're going to try and cover today. We're going to look at the decline of organic reach. So those unpaid posts are general post content on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn in particular that doesn't get seen because of the environment we're now in, which is this pay-to-play space. A Facebook Business Suite tour. It used to be called Facebook Business Manager. It's now Facebook Business Suite, and it is the backbone of our content, both organic and paid, and we need to start using it. Audiences and Ad Manager, that comes after promoted posts. And it's a really important piece of the puzzle that I want to introduce, if not, cover deeply. Boosted content, we'll go back to that basic promoted content and talk about the best practices there. We're going to look at a demo of both the short, AKA the lazy, and the long, the not so lazy way to boost a post, and which one is best. And then we'll look at promoted content in other places. So a quick peek at Pinterest, LinkedIn, and Twitter and how we can advertise there. And then just planning for success, both with our time and money, as well as best practices for testing, iteration, improvements. Okay, so this is no secret. We know that the landscape has changed. We know that our social media feeds have become more competitive when it comes to business pages competing for attention. We know that social media platforms have had to change the game in order to keep their users coming back, because remember, they're there to be entertained. I don't go on Instagram at the end of the day to be advertised to. I go there to connect with my friends and family. I go there to be entertained or intrigued or just, inspired. And they're growing all the time. These platforms are not slowing down, including Facebook. Despite what your kids might be telling you or your friends or whoever, there is so much growth on Facebook all the time. We're at 2.85 billion monthly active global users. That is gigantic. And so many of those in North America and in all age categories. Instagram is not far behind. It is a behemoth as well. It's past the billion monthly active users mark. It's continuously growing. And the amazing thing about Instagram is the continual integration or introduction of new features, from stories to Instagram Reels, IGTV, Instagram Live. There's just, it's its own little micro networks within the bigger, broader network that is really fun and full of opportunity, both with organic and paid content. And then LinkedIn is sort of the third big one we're going to talk about today. And it is also gigantic, particularly in North America. The amount of organic reach we can see on LinkedIn has been big, but in 2020, we saw a 500% increase in the amount of content that was produced on LinkedIn, including LinkedIn live streaming. So now it's also strategic and smart to consider advertising there or putting some dollars behind your posts so that they get seen by the right people. A note there that the amount of uptake on LinkedIn in Canada is higher now than Twitter and Pinterest, which is interesting, and ditto for the US. Go LinkedIn Go. It's Microsoft's owned platform and it's their only platform, and they'll continue to pump dollars into it like crazy as well, as it's their social media darling. So new features, new advertising opportunities all the time. So what are we doing? We're keeping up with the algorithms. We're trying to get into people's news feeds. And why is this hard? Because at any given time, let's take Facebook as an example, the average user can be served up to 50,000 different posts in a 1-minute scroll. So that means if I'm scrolling for a minute, there are enough pages that I've liked, friends that I've made, and content that I'm being promoted or targeted with, that Facebook has to filter it down to about 6 out of 7 posts are going to be what it thinks I want to see from my friends. And then 1 in 7, but it could be higher. Interesting to take note of your own feed. Maybe it's 1 in 10, 1 in 5 posts for you is an ad. It's either a boosted post or it's some kind of ad campaign showing up in your feed. So it's filtering like crazy. It has to do that. And we want to get our content seen. Our organic content has to be compelling enough that it's going to fight through the noise and get great reach, because Facebook's going to reward it with organic reach when it starts performing well. People are engaging with it, clicking on it, sharing it, commenting on it, and thus we're going to have a higher organic reach. Woohoo. That means it's not spammy, boring, or, irrelevant. They're going to hide the stuff that is, your reach will be worse. So what about the stuff in the middle, the stuff that we need to get seen as businesses? Well, that's where we need to fight the man, get some content that's paid and actually force our way in there, and hopefully be putting and serving up posts to people as paid content that feels like organic content. It shouldn't suddenly be adsy and salesy and spammy just because you're boosting it. It should feel the exact same as that beautiful organic post that has lots of personality or lots of insight or education. Why would it be any different? So that's one thing to think about. But as we know, as organic reach declines and content volume increases, as more brands bring more of their resources onto social media away from traditional billboards, TV, print, and radio, that effective paid reach is imperative. And this is the truth time. This is where our front-end content, including the copy, so the written words, the graphics, visuals, videos that we're spending so much time curating just perfectly, some of us, have to be supported by the back end, because this is who's winning. These are the people that know that it doesn't matter how good that front end art is if the back end science isn't there. This is where we say right brain meets left brain, art meets science, and organic meets paid. And that's where we need to be. And it doesn't have to cost thousands of dollars, but you're kind of wasting your time and energy on creating organic content if no one's seeing it. A point here. Remember, social platforms are not actually entertainment companies. They are the world's most powerful advertising companies. And the sooner we remember that, for one, we're not going to be choked about the fact that our organic reach has declined, because we should have seen that coming. Mark Zuckerberg didn't build, Facebook to be a altruistic philanthropist of fun entertainment for us. He built it so that they could create places for advertisers to spend their money. And that's exactly what's happened. And when we show up there, we are users, but we're also ad targets. As advertisers and small business owners, though, it's where we want to be, because this is where the world is. What we want to do with it, of course, is not spray our content across the land, just like, the billboard on the side of the highway that's reaching 800,000 people a week. Well, how many of those people are actually targets for your, new hair product? Or how many of them are actually going to engage with that ad? Very few. We want to drip our content into just the right inboxes or news feeds. Or if it's the adage of the analogy of the orchard, it's no longer spraying, it's dripping it into the roots of each apple tree just so carefully, so we're not wasting any money or time. We want to target and drip. Using the world's most powerful tools, which is Facebook Business Suite, to be honest. And then there's some other really great advertising dashboards now within LinkedIn and Twitter. We want to use them to our benefit, and we want to implement or start to incorporate what we like to refer to as the funnel. You've heard it before. It's the sales funnel, the marketing funnel, the SEO funnel, all rules apply. It's called AIDA, and it looks like this. At the top of our funnel, we're reaching cold, unfamiliar audiences. They don't know us, we don't know them. We're spending the most of our money there, and we're having to constantly drop new leads into the top of that funnel. So we've got to kind of spray, but we want to still do it as smart as we can. And then we're going to move them down the funnel. Or if we like to be a little friendlier, we at Social School like to talk about it as a journey. We turn that funnel sideways and we make it a user journey that takes people along towards action at the end of it, or conversion, where they've purchased or subscribed or filled out a contact form. And along the way, our audiences move from cold to warm to hot, and we can keep them in that funnel the whole way along and serve them up more direct, strategic content that is more salesy, or I guess more conversion oriented as they go as well. But we'll look at that in a minute. So the opportunity here, let's go back to the lay of the land a little bit. Overarchingly, what we're seeing is, yes, rising ad costs on social because of, again, competition. More brands are directing their big resources there. Think about Ford, think about Maybelline, think of all the big ads that you see for the first 20 pages of Vogue magazine or Time magazine are now pulling back from that print, and they're putting it towards digital, of course. And so are we. So we've got to find a way to compete. If we do it right and we do it well, we're going to be 95% ahead of every other brand out there that's just spewing money at Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and not properly targeting or iterating and testing and turning up what's working and turning off what's not. We can still do this really effectively, and dollar for dollar, or apples to oranges of, let's say, a radio campaign versus a Facebook campaign. Oh my God, I'm sorry to my traditional marketing or media friends, and I used to be a journalist, and I know this hurts, but it is not even comparable what we can do online versus what we can do traditionally still. It's just unfortunately still overpriced over on the TV, radio, print side. Okay, so we've got countless ad types. This is where I get so excited. We can do shopping ads, Facebook Messenger ads, carousel image ads. We can do stories on Facebook and Instagram. We can do lead generation ads where we collect an email address or subscribe. So many opportunities here. And we can determine whether we want to run one ad that we create, a certain image, bit of copy, and a call to action. We can say, yeah, put it everywhere. Facebook, put it on Instagram, put it on Messenger, put it on third-party websites, put it in stories, or we can just say, nope, I've designed this beautiful vertical ad to only appear on Facebook stories. And so it's really, really highly customizable, and the power is in our hands. Not only that, but you're going to have all the intel that you need on how those ads are performing the moment that it starts running. You're never going to get that in a traditional ads environment. So those powerful placements that we can, again, specify and work backwards when we're creating our ad assets. And that will, in our advertising classes, we implore that. We start by creating or knowing the target, who's receiving this, or who's going to be served this ad or this promoted post. What do they need to hear from us? Where are they in their user journey or their familiarity with us? And then what assets do we have? Is it a a horizontal video that's not going to look great in a vertical story, like some of these examples? Or is it a carousel set of images that build on each other that are going to be a fantastic Facebook carousel ad? Then we start to decide. If that all sounds overly complicated, it shouldn't be. It comes down to, like, what do you have? Who are you talking to? Where does that ad belong? Pretty basic. Other features that we get in digital ads: highly visible headlines, custom landing page URLs. So you can change that up a bit, but you also get to include your URL. And I dare you to try doing that with the pamphlet in your mailbox or the billboard that you're driving by. Maybe a QR code, but I doubt it. Intriguing text, so lots of ability to customize our headlines, taglines, copy. Eye-catching imagery, which we'll look at further as well, where we're running these animated ads, these video ads. If you don't have video content, no problem. You go into Ads Manager, load up 10 photos or 5 still images, and Facebook will turn it into a video for you. They'll even put captions on it for you. It's incredible. So lots of opportunity here to build really eye-catching, powerful ads that look like organic posts. The other thing I love is these pathways. Call it a funnel, a journey, a pipeline. There's a lot of lingo out there. But what it is saying, how quick can we get this short attention span Instagram user or social media user from point A to point B, which is checkout? And the answer is very quickly, like in 2 clicks, sometimes 4 clicks. It depends on how much they need to know and if they have to choose their size along the way. But basically, we don't even have to leave our feed anymore in order to buy something. And you and I both know this when we make bad decisions late at night and buy all sorts of junk off of LinkedIn, or Pinterest is my deadly one. But it's really powerful as marketers. And I'd be lying if I said as a consumer, I didn't love it either. It's fast. There's no roadblocks, and I don't have to go through 22 steps. And it's even going to save my credit card and shipping information for next time. We can do this and get on board with it as well as marketers. So we're targeting the people we want to reach. We're reaching new people. So that's non-fans that are going to now see our posts, not just those who followed us that may or may not see our posts because of the algorithm. We put our budget where it performs, and we have the power to analyze and adjust like crazy. Beyond that, we're able to take advantage of this insane influence that Facebook and Instagram in particular have right now with the user base they've got. So many people are visiting business profiles and interacting with business pages and posts all the time. This is, again, goes back to good content. So if you don't feel like you have that covered, that's maybe taking a few steps back and mapping and strategizing out what you're saying on social before you go and advertise it. The goal, of course, is to get the right content seen by the right people at the right time in the right place. And we live in a pretty amazing time because this is all possible. It is no longer stabbing in the dark. We can't say the old 1990s adage of 50% of my advertising's working. I just don't know which 50%. Well, now we know. We know exactly what's working and what's not. And it's right in our hands to switch it up. So there's 2 ways that we can advertise on social media, and this mostly applies to Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. But basically, it's by boosting or promoting your posts, the existing content you've got or that you're about to post in the newsfeed, putting some money behind it to make sure it shows up in the newsfeed. And then there's ad campaigns. And ad campaigns can also show up in the newsfeed, but elsewhere too. So sidebar ads, inside of Facebook Messenger, in Instagram stories, on those third-party network sites, lots of different placements, lots of different ad types compared to boosted posts. But where we need to start is with high-performing boosted posts and then move into ad campaigns. So why is it necessary to promote our posts or boost our posts? Well, again, they don't really get seen if we don't. So if you look at this, I just took a quick screenshot here of some of our boosted posts. You can see the blue button is where we haven't. I'm in Page Insights right now inside of Business Suite, and where they still want us to boost our post, or the blue button exists, and where we ran a promotion, you can see that the button there allows me to look at how it performed. But if I look at the middle column there where you see the orange, right away I can see the difference. I can see that if I put we usually average either $5 or $10 over 3 to 5 days for our boosts to a specific audience, not the same audience every time, or we'll get accused of audience overlap and spamming, and then all perform less, but we can use the audience overlap tool to compare. But if I look at that, I can see that even the most basic link-based post, which had triple at least the amount of engagement as usual. I can see in the very bottom there, if you see the organic reach is the light yellow bar, and the paid reach is the dark yellow bar. So it's doubling and tripling and quadrupling what we would normally receive for the expense of $5 over a few days. And at least now we're building new fans as well too. When I go into my insights, not only can I see the organic versus paid distribution, but I can see fans versus non-fans, which is very cool. So here's the thing. Content that is not seen and heard has very little economic value to us. you're kind of just posting to no one and shouting in the dark. Unless someone goes to your page, which most of us don't, sit there and go, whose Facebook page should I go troll today? I'm just going to go on to Wesk's Facebook page and look at all the posts they've ever posted. No, we're more inbound recipients of content. We see what's served up to us as we're scrolling for way too long in our feeds. So we've got to go there. And if we're not showing up there, then it can be argued it's a bit of a waste of time. And it's frustrating. More than that, it gets really hard to justify continued strategy and time and money on building your content. We all know that. It's really exciting, on the other hand, when you spend $10 and you earn 100. And that's always been the 1 to 10, 10x return on our ad spend, also known as ROAS, return on ad spend, has always been our goal. If we're going into Social Regina and we have $50,000 worth of conference tickets to sell, we know that if we spend $5,000 on ads, we're going to get there. And it's a really important thing to do, because pretty much everything else we do, whether that's partnerships, sponsorships, radio ads, whatever, pamphlet drops, they don't necessarily perform anywhere close to that. So all that to say, I don't like telling people to spend money on the internet or send more to Mark Zuckerberg by any means, but I do strongly feel that it's the most powerful way for us to generate revenue like crazy. And there's times in our social school eras where we've said, if we had 10 credit cards to throw at Facebook Business Manager, all of them maxed out, we sure would at our ad campaigns, because they come back in the right way. Okay. So Business Suite, this is the backbone of Facebook and Instagram management. And of course, Facebook owns Instagram, so that's why they're both in there together. A note here, just because you have a business page and it's got the blue bar on the top and you built it outside, or through, I should say, your personal profile, that does not mean you have Business Suite or Business Manager. Remember, it used to be called Business Manager. They're now starting to call it Business Suite. Some of your pages may still say Business Manager. So why do we use it? All right, we can manage all of our pages in one place, or just better manage our singular page if that's all we've got. We can manage all of our assets in one place. That includes our ad accounts, audiences, a pixel if you have one, which captures your website traffic and sends it to Facebook, so you can retarget those people with a Facebook ad. Pretty powerful. Images, insights, your collective inbox. Amen. I can now just go to Business Suite, hit inbox, and see all of my direct messages, comments, shares, engagement, everything Facebook and Instagram together. So I'm not over here managing comments and over here managing direct messages. I have more control as to who has access. No longer when someone leaves or enters your organization are you sharing a personal profile password, or inviting people, or losing track of who has the password and who's got access to this page as a user, a manager, an admin. You are easily able to turn them off and turn them back on again, or add them to your Business Suite, and you stay the page owner. You can create your ad campaigns, audiences, promoted posts, etc. It's a seamless one-stop spot to manage your Facebook and Instagram assets. Within Business Suite, there's new fun things. Within the home section, we can easily see alerts and insights. So just important all-in-one views of our Facebook and Instagram pages and ad accounts. We can see, again, people and assets really, really easily. So this is where I can make sure that people have certain little catalogs of things that they have access to or don't. We can add our audiences really, really easily and turn off the ones or remove the ones that are no longer relevant and keep these fresh. We build out our protocol in our audience building class is to build 12, 3 hot, 3 warm, 3 cold, and 3 somewhere in between. And then we do that fresh every quarter, so that your audiences are never dusty, especially the ones coming from, page engagement audiences, or website traffic, or people that have engaged with your videos on Instagram. These all need to be updated. It doesn't take long, but when you've got fresh audiences every quarter, or maybe even just a couple times a year that you refresh them, you feel really, really powerful and confident when you're boosting your posts. So business.facebook.com, I'm not going to go into the setup. We do that in our paid social course, where we walk you through the entire onboarding process, adding every one of your pages, people, ad accounts, Instagram connection, etc. and just making sure that you've got all of your assets there ready to go. And then from there, understanding the additional tools available to you. So like any tool or dashboard, it can be overwhelming on first glance, but I promise you, even if you were to spend 3 hours in here, setting it up right, wrestling with it a little bit until you figure out what's what, what's where, you're going to love it. And there's no turning back. This is such a powerful tool, and you can outsource this all day long, but I'm telling you, it's not rocket science, and all of us should understand and have the keys to these major assets. As marketers and business owners now, we're aware of how important our Facebook pages are to our business. It is one of those assets or channels that's as important as owning our domain, and having the keys to it has never been more important. It's why there's so many more annoying security checkpoints and tools that, make you log in with your birth certificate on Facebook, because they are valuable assets that are often stolen or lost or, just underestimated when we first built them, and now really play a big part of our marketing and sales. So next stop, when we're all set up in there, we head into audiences, and then we'll take a peek at Ads Manager. But once we've built out those audiences, we can then just start promoting posts, $5 at a time. It doesn't have to be big, robust ad campaigns yet. So I'm going to show you a few different audiences here, because this is so important. It's why we have a whole course dedicated called Audience Building. It's launching on August 1st as part of our digital advertising month. But I love this stuff. So there's 3 types we can create. And it works as again, that sort of funnel mentality here. When I mentioned those top of funnel cold audiences, those are called saved, according to Facebook. It's a weird name. I've never understood it. But what we're doing here is targeting in the dark those strangers by geographic factors, interests, and even a few behaviors. So things that they've done, but mostly it's like age, job, interest, location, language sometimes, gender sometimes. And again, just kind of building on what we think people would want to hear and or what we think we'd want to target with in that specific region. So if you can see there, we go on in, we start to segment it down. But when I start creating a saved audience, my reach is gigantic. If I've just been given the default of Canada, well, there's 29 million Facebook accounts in Canada. That's insane, because we have 38 million people. Remember, some people have more than one account, but that's still a massive, massive percentage. So that's why when I start to now segment and filter down to just Saskatchewan or just Saskatoon, and then I start adding my interests, it's either going to shrink or expand that audience, but trying to get it down. We have lots of philosophies on how big should that audience be, but for the most part, this is where you want to start pretty big. If you can get 100,000 people into that audience, and it's got a bit of a circular radius around the city of Saskatoon plus 10 kilometers, or, big centers, or whatever it looks like for you, try to get that number significant enough that it's going to, be a big main set of people that you can then filter more. How do we filter them next? Well, our warm audience type, we call it, is what Facebook calls a lookalike. So let me bump to the 3rd type first, and then we'll go back and we create our warm. The 3rd type, Facebook calls custom, AKA hot, according to Social School. So this is where we've had people who've been on our website, engaged with our content. They're on our mailing list. They've bought from us before. We have their email address. We can create a Facebook audience out of them. It's so good, it should be illegal, and it almost is. So do it now while you can. And I say that because millions of businesses are doing it. We're not pushing the envelope here on legality or privacy. You've gotten that email address. You're allowed to email them with some marketing promotions in the same way that a big company is going to also serve you up an ad because you're on their website yesterday. You're doing the same thing. You've gotten their email address, you've got their website or their IP address from them being on your website, and they gave you permission to track them with cookies. And now you're serving them up an ad, just like you would a phone call, a coupon, a billboard, or any e-newsletter. So yes, we can build these custom audiences. They're really powerful, and there's several that we can build. The first one, the 2 shots on the left there, would be if someone was on my website. I've got a pixel, so it's a 10-digit code on my website generated by Facebook Business Suite. I copy paste it, put it into my Squarespace site or my Shopify or Wix or whatever I've got. And now that pixel tracks people that have been on my website. All I'm going to know is their IP address. Every other bit of information is shimmed off and it's sent back. And this audience is brilliant and so powerful because it's dynamic. That means it's always updating itself. It's not just a static audience like my subscriber list that I'm uploading every few months, which never gets updated, well, by Facebook unless I do it. But my pixel traffic audiences are constantly regenerating and dynamically growing. So I can, in this example, say people that have met any of the following criteria. So my social school website, Pixel Fired, they were on a specific web page, or I could say any web page. But in this example, we're getting a little tighter here. They were on a website that was called Shop, or maybe it was /Saskatoon for our Saskatoon conference within the last 90 days. They didn't, however, if you see the bottom half, I'm now adding an exclusionary audience. They didn't make it to /thank you, meaning they bought a ticket, they get redirected to our thank you page. That's the reason we create these thank you pages or whatever it is. That's a trackable site that you can exclude. And so now I've got this beautiful group of people that have been on that page, thought about buying something, but didn't. Of course, I want to retarget them with an ad. And this is not reserved for like Best Buy and IKEA. We can all do this in 4 seconds flat. Next, the one on the right. Let's say I don't have a pixel. I don't have the keys to my website. I'm not ready to run that kind of traffic ad, or I just want to have another version of a custom hot audience. I'm going to choose instead that my source is going to be my Instagram account. I can do videos. I can do my Facebook account. As you can see, there's lots of sources there. But if I choose my Instagram account, I'm going to get a drop down and I'm going to say, oh, anyone who engaged with my business account on Instagram in the last, again, 180 days, 4 days, I'm going to serve them up a post. So smart. And this is why you feel like you're being followed around the internet, because these simple types of audiences exist and people, smart advertisers and small business owners, are serving up ads to the people that have expressed interest. Why wouldn't we? It's really smart. From here, we go back to type 2, the type 2 lookalike, AKA the warm. So this is where I go in and I say, well, it's really fast to set up a lookalike audience. Facebook basically says, what's your source? And I can say, oh, it's that custom website traffic ad, but I want you to create a lookalike for people in Winnipeg. Great. We'll do that for you with similar profiles, similar user behaviors of the people that are on your hot audience from Saskatoon. We'll now do that in Winnipeg or with just women or in Russia, whatever it is. So lookalikes are awesome. They're not quite as powerful as hot, but they're really important to be running for that middle of funnel area. And it doesn't have to be pixel. Remember, it can be a lookalike audience of people that engaged with your videos on Facebook in another area. So really important to know your variance. If you go back to junior high science, what are your fixed variables along the way? And then what are you making a little bit of a difference of with each audience? Is it age? Is it location? Is it interests? Is it what type of content they engaged with? And I have to tell you a funny story here really quickly. When we're naming our ads and our ad sets, they're called in Facebook. I was running an ad set a couple years ago, 2019, for our Regina conference. I hope you don't find this totally inappropriate, but I had my ad set named Regina Hot 18 plus testes. And that was because our hot audience of just 18 plus, we served it to everybody in Regina that we could, that was in our hot custom audience, our testimonial ads. Those are our like, get them to the finish line, get them to buy. We get that really like high converting content at the end. We throw in the testimonial ads from past conferences and past attendees. And Facebook kept denying my ads. And I was like, I don't get it. They're running in Winnipeg, they're running in Edmonton. What's the problem? I'm getting help kind of coming in and they're like, it's your ad content inappropriate. I'm like, it's not inappropriate. It's a marketing conference. And finally I changed my naming convention of my ad and they went ahead. And when I told the guy from Facebook that, I swear he said he was falling off his chair laughing and so excited to share it with his fellow Facebook staffers that for one, there's a place called Regina in Canada, and two, that some girl was running hot testes ads. Again, apologies that was a bit inappropriate. Okay, next up, Ads Manager. So this is where we evolve into, It is not necessary to use Ads Manager when you're just running boosted posts if you've got your audiences built, but I would be remiss if I didn't show it to you. So Ads Manager is within our business suite again, and it shows all the campaigns that we're running or have ran and all the key things you'd need to know: budget, duration, performance, name. You can dive into it. And if you look just above that green button that says create, you're going to see the various tabs that we get bumped along. And what that is the Facebook ad campaign hierarchy. We start with the campaign, and all we need to do at that level is determine our objective. What do we want this campaign to do? Grow our reach and awareness, probably a cold type of ad campaign. Grow our traffic, well, maybe that's warm or hot. Maybe engagement, generate leads. It gives us a whole selection of objectives. From there, we get bumped to the ad set level. And this is where we determine the audience that we're targeting, the placements. Do I want it everywhere or just on Instagram stories? And then the budget and schedule for this campaign. And then finally, we get to build the ads. And this is where it's really fun if you've got the copy pre-written, or you know what you want to say in your headlines, and you've got your imagery all ready to go. It's so fun to just plop them in and run your ads from there. So really powerful things we can do here. We can create brand new ads all the time. You can, of course, build off of your existing post content and just post that or promote it, but you can also build these campaigns to fit our goals as they evolve throughout the year. We can choose the audiences that we've built, that we're constantly growing and evolving, and adjust them as we need to, along with our budget and our time frame of that ad. We can set up and manage our budgets really, really seamlessly and never go a penny over. I promise you this. You can set up your daily spend, your overall campaign cap, so you'll never overspend. And you just have to set it right from the get-go and pay attention to it. It's not set it and forget it. But if you've done it right, you've got full control over your spend. Tons of features, as I mentioned. We can go so far across Facebook's insane ad family and many, many placements. We can let Facebook decide for us where it wants to place it based on what platform's performing really well with that ad, or we can tell Facebook where to put it. And then, of course, we can test and adjust as we go all the time, almost immediately after we maybe let it run for 24 hours. We can A/B test 2 different headlines, 2 different image sites, sets or types. Or what we do is a hierarchy where we have 1 campaign, 2 ad sets of audience and placements, and then like 4 ads within each, so that we can see how they're doing. And it just becomes this little tree. Not too complicated. We map it all out in our ads, in our digital advertising course. And it becomes pretty fun to run because you can turn off what's not working. Okay, a few more minutes here if you stick with me. So boosted content 101, a few things. There's 2 ways that we can boost a post. The first way, as I mentioned at the outset, is the short boost. It's also known as what we call it the lazy boost at social school. So this is where, as you've all seen, on the front end of your Facebook page, whether you're using it in the blue screen or you've got it pulled into Business Suite, you've got so many places where Facebook wants you to spend money. It's like, promote your page. Oh, promote this post. Hey, you should run a campaign. So if I just click boost post, no problem. I can boost it the lazy short way, just like that. And the cool thing is that if I've already built my audiences in Audience Manager, it's going to pull those in and I can choose right there. And if I have a quick little spreadsheet over here, a separate tracking form that's saying I write 5 posts a week, and Monday post gets boosted to audience A, Tuesday post gets boosted to audience B, something like that, I know very easily who's getting what. And that's kind of, organic meets paid strategy. So after I've boosted it, I can also go into Business Suite and look in my posts, and I can see that it was boosted, or I can boost it from there, and I can watch the performance of it as well. So really easy, fun to see what's working and what's not, and just how much better performance you're getting as a result of a few dollars here and there. We always say to business owners, no matter how big or small, if you can find $200 a month to boost your content and you do it for a few months, I promise you, you will start to get some return on your social like you've never had before. And if you can do a little more, that's great. But if you're doing 20 posts a month, $5 each, that's something. The long boost. This is where we go into Ads Manager. And if you remember, when we choose our objective, my objective becomes engagement. It's not traffic. I'm not trying to drive people to my website. I want them to engage with this specific post. And it takes a little longer for the algorithm to pick up this longer boost, but I get more results, more insights, I should say. Sometimes I get better results, and we've noticed, especially if we're running that boost for longer, and just generally a smarter way to go if you have the time to do it this way. Every professional advertiser, digital advertiser I know boosts their post this way. We get taken all the way through it. We get a few more opportunities to customize that boost. And again, declare our daily budget, our cap, our audience, etc., and then see how it does. And it's going to show up then in Ads Manager as a campaign as opposed to just a boosted post. All right, some golden rules here of boosting our posts. Of course, we want to link most of our content to our site. This is like the final destination. It's where we want to send people to. And if we've done our homework or we've set ourselves up properly, we've got a website that we're proud of, that when people get there, they convert. They know exactly what to do. It's super clear, and they understand what steps to take next in order to meet their goals. And of course, then you're meeting your goals. So we want to link most of our social content to our site. Why wouldn't we? And this is an extension of that. Avoid linking to other sites. You know, sure, maybe a fifth of your content is news, trending news stories or stats, studies that you've seen. But why are you linking off to Newsweek or the Regina Post or whatever it is, some TikTok video, especially if you're boosting every post? Speaking of, boost as many posts as you can. If you can boost 100% of your posts, you'll have 100% get better reach and engagement in return. But if you can only do half, great. Strategically choose those ones. But you're going to start to see the difference that it makes, and it becomes like scrap the, the organic posts, just focused on the paid. Understand who you want to reach. We do that through audience building. So mapping out who they are. What are their pain points? What do they need from you? What is that thing they're looking for? Is it something really deep, or is it just like, again, a new water bottle on Instagram or social, and they're social shopping, or they're in Google and they're feeling very transactional and they need a new laptop? What do they need to hear from you? What is the language you need to speak that shows you get them, you understand them, and you're the solution to their problems? There's copywriting here. There's understanding our audiences and the journey that they're undertaking and how we are going to be the ones to show up. With that, we need to know the right days and times to post. And we see this in our insights on any social platform. When are our users online? And maybe when are some of those more dark social hours where we can go in at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday and there's less traffic on the highway, and we can actually get fantastic results because there's just less competition, and the algorithm picked up our post and maybe our boost at 3 a.m. and it's now really on fire by 7 or 8 a.m. when people are coming online, or even in the middle of the night when there's enough people online, but no one else is targeting. And then we really want to pre-boost our scheduled posts. And this is where Facebook Creator Studio is the go-to scheduling tool. We talk a lot about Later and Planoly and Hootsuite and all the other third-party tools. But just yesterday, our team met and we said, that's it. We're now using Facebook Creator Studio exclusively to schedule our Facebook and Instagram posts, because it's got calendar view, it's got drafts, scheduled posts, all the things we need to see to visualize the content in advance. And then we can also pre-boost it to a predetermined audience before it goes live, not after the fact. So the moment it hits the algorithm, it's got gusto behind it. And Facebook's like, whoa, this post has $20 to spend. We better get it out there. We've got 3 days to spend it, get it seen. So I really encourage you to check out Facebook Creator Studio. It's within Business Suite. You'll find it. Okay, we're almost there. Promoted content on LinkedIn, Pinterest, and Twitter. The cool thing about this is that once you've learned how to build audiences and boost posts or run campaigns on Facebook and Instagram, you can do it anywhere, because the rest are all a little bit more rudimentary. So LinkedIn. We talked about how it's big, it's important, it's full of professionals and decision makers. It's a great place to be. I don't care if you're a hairstylist or a CEO, you've got people on LinkedIn that have hair, and it's not just reserved to, professional B2B organizations. There can be all types of commerce companies on LinkedIn. So frustrating when our posts don't get seen. Same goes on LinkedIn. The algorithms at play, the filtering of content, we see it and we can tell when something's been promoted and it's getting just that much more reach. On LinkedIn, we can do it two ways. Same thing. Ad campaigns are what they call sponsored content. And this is where we pay per 1,000 clicks. So you've got less opportunities on LinkedIn to say, ooh, I want a pay per click. I want to pay per impressions. I want to pay per reach. Nope, you just get to pay per 1,000 clicks. That's okay. And then with the ad campaigns, we've got lots of different placements to look at too. But for the sponsored content end of things, it's an easy way to increase that reach. Target those specific audiences you're looking for, especially for those of us who don't have many page followers just yet. And but we know them to be on LinkedIn and we're ready to invest in the platform. We manage this through LinkedIn Campaign Manager, not hard to find. You're just going to business.linkedin.com. You can create your account in minutes. And before you know it, you're creating a campaign. Just to give you an idea of what some of those ad placements look like in case you haven't noticed, but if you go into your LinkedIn personal account, you'll very quickly see a lot of different placements where you could potentially create your ad. But if you're just wanting to promote your post or sponsor a post, it's going to appear in the news feed, which is great. And then something else to note here, because I love this. I'm back in Facebook now, but I'm going to first bump down to LinkedIn. So one thing we can do on anyone's page on LinkedIn and Facebook is go in and see what ads they're running. And this is quite cool for transparency if you care about who's targeting me with their ads or why am I seeing this ad. But as marketers, it's really great intel. So I'm going to go into, for example, Nike's Facebook page. I'm going to scroll down on the left to see page transparency, which every single business page has. And I'm going to scroll down a little more and I'm going to find their ad library. And I'm going to see who they're advertising to, where they're placing their ads, and what they're saying in their ads so that I can get some intel on what the best and biggest companies in the world with the most highly paid ad creators are doing and saying. And really neat. And also very, very important to see what your competitors are running on Instagram and Facebook and Messenger. And if none, great opportunity for you to get in there and it won't cost you much. Okay, Pinterest, same goes. We've got numerous ad types, pins, carousels, app pins, videos, all set up within pinterest.ca/business where we set up our campaign. We choose our consideration, AKA objective, and start to work our way through targeting the audience, building the specifics around that audience, location, language, device, etc. And then we get to add in our interests, just like on Facebook, as well as our keywords, throwing in a little bit of Google lingo here. So choose the relevant keywords that someone would type into Pinterest and decide if you want to show up, and you're going to see how much they're going to charge you to bid on that keyword. And before you know it, you're off and running, creating this really cool Pinterest campaign. I don't know about you, but I go on Pinterest late at night and it's not to follow marketing. It's literally to look at a few things like home interiors and clothing. So I know what to wear or how to put clothes together out of my old lady closet. And I am targeted with the same promoted pins all the time. There's just not that many people in my region for those keywords targeting me with ads. And I truly believe that this is an untapped opportunity for a lot of us. So don't underestimate Pinterest. It is a massive search engine that drives traffic. And of course, when you're boosting or promoting a pin, you have your URL attached to it. So I can easily swipe up and get to your website or get to your shopping page. So really easy to go through it. Takes a few minutes to figure it out and learn the dashboard, but not beyond any of us. Finally, Twitter, same thing. Lots of objectives here. We can decide what we want to do, and then we head on into Twitter's dashboard or its ads manager, and we determine objective, audience, bidding, budget, etc. So a quick cross-platform promoted post challenge that I ran. I wanted to put to the test $10 over 24 hours for an audience of Saskatchewan-based marketing and small business interests. So very cold, top of funnel audience. Young age range, 18 to 24, just gave it a go. Which platform performed the best? And of course, if my variant was age, I'm going to see different results for different age categories, but so be it. I just compared this one. So in LinkedIn, $10 got me 174 sponsored impressions or paid and 206 organic impressions. Not great. A couple of clicks, that's it. On Instagram, I saw 2,500 people reached. That's great. And remember that reach are unique impressions, where impressions are overall impressions, including the people that saw it more than once. So let's say 2,545 unique reach. And then a few visits to the website and other interactions. Whereas on Facebook, we got the best performance. 2,900 people reached, 40 post clicks, which I really care about, and a nice spread between organic and paid with a lot of paid gusto. Thank you, Facebook. And what happens is as that paid performance does well, it's an ad that's performing well, people are engaging with it, clicking on it, they're liking that ad, then my organic reach rises as well. So in this instance, Facebook did the best. If I was to run it a little longer and maybe not do a lazy boost, but a long boost, we would see different results. I also noticed that LinkedIn's boosts take longer to get going. So if I'd done it for 7 days, chances are my results would be different. But these are the kind of quick tests we need to do and then feel really good about and be able to explain both of our analytical insights and our anecdotal insights, just like I just did. Well, if I had tried this, then that, or these types of posts usually do that. If it was a video post, then, and we should be able to speak to both back-end science and the front-end art and why they are working together. Okay, this is the last thing I promise. Planning for success, you guys. So some elements of high-performing paid content. Strong assets. You can't have an ad that's going to do well if it's ugly, blurred, dark, and poorly written. Strong value proposition. Like, what do you offer and why should I care if I'm your audience? Why on earth am I going to stop scrolling to stare at that ad and then click on it? It's got to be good and add value to my life. Clear and concise calls to action. So what do you want me to do here? And is it worth doing? Who are you serving? Why does it matter? And then the placement and the ad type as well. Where does this ad belong? Do I need to specify and customize, or can I blanket place this ad in lots of cool places? We want to set measurable goals. People that are performing really well, the brands that have killer reach and return on ad spend aren't getting there by accident. They're testing and iterating, and they're familiar with the dashboard. It's overwhelming at first, but they commit and they're spending wisely as a result, and they're really proud of their performance goals, and they're succeeding on a revenue scale as a result. And maybe it's not online sales for you, but it's, fundraising or awareness, or again, subscribes. Your goals are custom to you, but hopefully your paid campaigns support this. So I'd encourage you to go and think about, what is my monthly budget that I could allocate to boosting my content on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn? And maybe I just start with Instagram or Facebook and start at $200, start at $50 or one boost and see how it does. But first, build your audiences properly. And then if I'm going to go one step further, what can I do with my ad campaigns? And where can I start to see that it's worth the investment because I'm getting the return at least twofold, if not 5 or 10-fold. In our digital advertising class, we have plenty of planning tools like this that help you manage your monthly ad spend. So both your promoted posts as well as your paid campaigns, Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. And then it's really easy to also allocate what audience that is. Ditto 4, this is actually from our Saskatchewan conference, or Saskatoon, I should say. So we've got the stages up in the gray there. You see that ads hierarchy. What's the campaign? And then what's all the things that are in the ad set level? So the time frame and the dates, the audience, the budget, the ad's name. And then of course, in the lighter gray, it's what's in the actual ad. And that is the copy, the image, the call to action, etc. And then we can sort of just have a snapshot there and be really clear on what we're running week over week or month over month, what we're turning off and what we're turning on. Okay, that brings me to the end. Oh my, it's 1 o'clock. I don't see any questions typed yet, but if you have any, or you want to just put anything out there, please, by all means, this is your chance. I hope I haven't lost you all along the way. And thanks for listening.
Hi. That was such a incredible presentation, very valuable and informative. I was taking notes. I now know how to better do West ad spend. So thank you so much. Looks like we do have one question from Stephanie.
Awesome. Okay, I see it there. What are your thoughts on product placement in social media posts? Well, one thing that we have noticed more of are shoppable ads. So I'm going to scroll back up to the top. I had one slide here where it was showing some of our ad types. And if you look at the very first one on the left there, it's from Kate Spade. But this is a shoppable ad, and the product placement is pretty. It's kind of subtle. So it's not just like in your face with the word sale on top. That does not do well. It's still a very lifestyle oriented ad. I get that this is a, Kate Spade shopping purses. We don't all have sexy purses and succulent plants to advertise. Some of us are chiropractors and dentists, and it's a little trickier. However, if we can find a way to insert our product and tag it in our catalog, then we can really run that ad through that funnel we mentioned, where it's like a few clicks to check out. So product placement in social media is no problem if it's done in a subtle or value-driven way. And then I would say, to be strategic about it, link it, like make it so that someone will see right away that there's the little purse icon on the page or the post. And then they'll know that if they tap that post, it'll bring up what that product is, and they can click on it if they want, and it'll take them right to your store. Building your catalog or your store in Facebook is not hard. It is a matter of going in, and it's within Business Suite, but you can even just Google it, how to build my Facebook shop. We have a YouTube video that walks you all the way through it on our Social School YouTube page. And you add whatever products you want to, and then you can really easily link them in your posts and ads, and not just ads, posts too, organic posts that you can make a shoppable post. I hope that helps.
That definitely helped. So yeah, thank you again. And thank you for everyone who joined us today. Some people have trickled away, but we did have a good number. So thank you. And as you guys know, in August, we're doing a partnership with Connexus. So we have a couple webinars coming to you every Wednesday in August. So if you haven't registered for those webinars yet, you should. And with that, I will end this webinar. But thank you so much again, Kelly. It was wonderful having you.
Thanks, Lola. Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone.